Yes. Mr. Campbell, third period, America, thank you again for your time. As president, it will be my goal to make this beautiful country a happier, safer place to live for everyone. Nobody should have to be afraid to go see a movie or send their children to school. You should be able to go to the mall and buy your loved ones gifts. America, though, is changing, and not for the better. It deeply saddens me to know that innocent lives have been lost. And words cannot describe the sorrow I can feel for these families. On January 2nd, at 11:41, a candidate commented that the two most recent shootings were Sandy Hook and the Dark Knight. However, the two most recent were Sandy Hook and the Oregon Mall shooting. I promise you, America, that I will not forget the families who went through any of these shootings. These events are simply too tragic to forget about. As you can see, America is a front-runner regarding ownership of guns. We are supposed to be an example for the rest of the world. These acts of senseless violence have to stop. We need to stand up and say, this is not right. Guns were not created for terror. They were created to help mankind protect themselves and to provide a fun sport. Taking away all guns would not benefit America. We are the land of freedom, not restriction. Our founding fathers wanted to make sure that our rights were never taken away from us. And as president, I will make sure that we continue to be the land of the free. However, we must address the issue in front of us. How do we make America safer without getting rid of every gun in America? We must remember that every gun owner is not a criminal, and we will not treat them that way. Many buy guns for collections, others buy guns for hunting, and some get enjoyment from buying an old gun and fixing it up. In fact, guns are a lot like cars, so we must treat them accordingly. But in order to treat the disaster that have been devastating our country within the past years, America must think of safety first. Since 1982, there has been 62 mass shootings. The majorities of these guns were semi-automatic handguns, and close behind that majority is assault weapons. 49 out of these 62 shootings, these weapons were purchased legally. The shooters of these shootings took the lives of at least 4 people. The majority of these killers displayed signs of mental illness before setting out to kill. These shooters cannot get past our government. I support President Clinton's assault weapons ban of 1994. This ban led to a 66% reduction in assault weapons being related to crimes. In 2004, Massachusetts, of which I am the governor from, continued that permanent state ban on assault weapons and large capacity weapons, and they said, I quote, "have no place in Massachusetts. These guns were not made for recreation or self-defense. They are instruments of destruction, with the sole purpose of hunting down and killing people." In addition to this, my state has some of the most effective laws controlling access to firearms. I proudly stand here today to say that my state has the lowest firearm fatality in the nation. Massachusetts is one of the only states to require gun licensing, registration, and training. We were the first state to require consumer protection standards for firearms, and we are one of the 17 states that require criminal background checks. To provide that this works in the state of Massachusetts, firearms kill a mere 3 out of 100,000 people a year. The nation's average of firearm kills is 10 out of 100,000 people a year. My plan in Massachusetts is obviously working, and when I become president of the United States, I not only plan on using these tactics, but also to enact more in order to keep America safe. My plan for control starts with extensive prerequisite requirements in order to purchase or own a gun. Much like cars, states will have the power to provide gun licenses, but there will be a federal administration to look over the safety of guns. Like the National Transportation Safety Board, the National Gun Safety Board will set standards for the rest of the nation. When buying a gun, states will record each tag and title and submit it to the federal government. States will also have control over permit tests and practical tests. With these standards, a criminal cannot buy a gun in the state with lax rules and use it in another. Car standards keep the roads safe, and gun standards will keep America safe. Gun owners must also have a background check and routine inspections. During these background checks and inspections, there will be doctor's approval. They must perform a psychological test as well. In recent shootings, most of the shooters suffered from psychological illnesses. I agree with my opponent's ideas of banning assault weapons. I support the assault weapons ban of 1994, like I said, and the permanent state ban in Massachusetts on assault weapons and large capacity weapons. There's absolutely no reason to own these guns. They butcher everything, animals and humans. By continuing to sell them, gun stores are not only promoting the slaughter, the gun stores are only promoting the slaughter. I do not agree, though, with said opponents' processes of background checks, with their ideas of background checks. Instead of punishing those who do not want to perform one, they will simply not receive their gun. We do not want gun owners and sellers to be afraid of the government. We are not the enemy in this situation. By punishing, we become one. If a student does not study, they do not get a detention. They only get a bad grade. Adding punishment on top of that would be absolutely ridiculous. Students will be furious, just like Americans would be, if they got punished on top of not receiving their gun. There will also be gun insurance, similar to car insurance. If you lose your gun, or if there are any problems, your insurance will go up. When buying a gun, sellers will check your insurance. After a certain point, you will not be able to buy one. Although this may seem like a lot of steps and procedures to go through for a simple gun, it will keep you and your loved ones safe in the end. This plan will make America safer by preventing criminals and obtaining guns, as well as catching new criminals more easily. Many believe that these bans on assault weapons would violate the Second Amendment. I believe that the Constitution has always been a work in progress. The Constitution originally vowed to end slavery by only giving the right to vote to landowners. We are in a changing world, and in order to keep this Constitution the frame of our nation, we must be able to make adjustments to keep up with the times. This document was written in 1787, where the terms arms did not mean anything close to a .40 caliber Glock or an AR-15 assault rifle, or even a 223 Bushman semi-automatic assault rifle. This amendment is outdated, and the right to bear arms should be solely associated with single-shot handguns or hunting weaponry. As a father of two, I never want my children to feel scared to do something they love. Public places should be safe. They are not, though, because criminals can access weapons far too easily today. America is leading like we always have. Unfortunately, it isn't gun violence. Although I believe America should always be ahead, this is not what I meant. When people come to America, they should not be afraid of violence. They should be more focused on where to go. This country is far too beautiful and exciting to be disregarded. With your help, America, we can keep this country one step ahead in safety. Thank you. Yes, Alex.
You mentioned the Sandy Hook shooting. Adam Lanza didn't own those guns, his mother did, so how would a background check and a mental check on his mother prevent him?
His mother also promoted the use of guns, and she taught him how to use gun, and they often went to ranges and shotguns. So with a check on her, it would make sure that she's teaching her son, and that her son is even her family values are right. And she taught him also to not trust the world, and that people are always there to take you down. Yes, Megan.
Like Alex said, with how he stole the gun, what will the punishment be for those who do either get them illegally, since we do have an extreme black market with guns, and then what would your punishment be if they stole them?
Well, of course there are still going to be weapons that are going to be able to be accessed illegally, but starting when I'm president, that we have to put a strict ban on them in order to start the process of taking them out of the market and not making them available to be stolen or even sold in the black market.
But would they go to jail for it, or is there going to be extreme punishment for
stealing a gun?
If they steal it? Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Like say someone breaks into the house
yes,
and then goes and murders the person. Would you blame the person for having the gun?
It depends on how much security they have on the gun. Yes, John.
If someone told you around 10 children per year could be saved from teachers carrying concealed weapons, would you allow teachers to carry concealed weapons?
I actually would be allowed to allow select teachers to carry weapons. Well, of course the ideal solution would to have an armed police officer in each school, but with the new budget cuts that are going across America, there have been limited numbers of police officers being able to be in school. So, to date, 3 schools, Utah, Texas, and Alabama, allow teachers to have guns in school to carry concealed weapons. And the Herald Independent School District in 2008 became the first district in the country to permit teachers and staff to carry concealed weapons. And the superintendent said that gunmen would not enter a school which is armed. And I believe in that. And I believe that with a select few teachers armed, it would be able to prevent even the risk of having a gunman enter the school. Yes, Caleb?
You talked about how mentally ill shouldn't be allowed to carry like guns or whatnot. What would you do in the situation if like a person has like say bipolar disorder, but they're being treated for like they take their medication regularly and all that kind of stuff? Would you allow them to carry a weapon or no?
That'd be up to the licensing committee, and how they would have to truly evaluate those people specifically because of their extreme mental condition. So we have to be careful on who we give license to. Yes, Kim?
How often do you propose renewals of gun license?
Once a year. Julia?
You said that you don't believe in punishing people who sell guns for not performing background checks. So
No, I said we are not going to perform punishments on people who do not have a background check, who are unwilling to give a background check. We will just not sell them the gun.
So you're saying that the person who's buying?
If a
What did you
person,
say?
yeah, we said if the person goes to buy the gun and they refuse to do a background check, we will just not let them sell the gun. We will not let them have the gun, and we will not punish them for not wanting to cooperate. Anthony?
You said that the assaulters would not go to a school that has like teachers with armed teachers. How would they know that that school's armed?
Well, I'm sure that it would be known that the school has armed teachers, and if the school decides that they do not want to, then it is their decision not to do that. So they will also take the steps in order to prevent stuff like that. Yes, Tori?
How would you decide which teachers are select to carry guns? Like, are you going to have any credentials that they need to be able to have?
Well, each teacher would go through extensive training, background checks, and experience with guns in order to be part of that program in the school. They would also ask for volunteers and not necessarily just assign teachers that, because some teachers may feel uncomfortable to do that. So yes, we would perform, the schools would have to perform extensive background checks, licensing, and make sure they are comfortable with the gun. Yes, Mara?
What if a school doesn't have any teachers that are licensed, like gunmen? How would they compare to other schools that do have teachers that are licensed gunmen? Like, do they have to get a police officer? Like, wouldn't a gunman who was going to a school, like, if they were choosing between 2 schools and one didn't have like armed teachers, wouldn't they be more likely to go to that school? So, like, should that be part of the questioning process of hiring teachers?
Well, each school now, we promote each school to have security guards as well. So that would be one way of preventing gunmen from entering and protection of the school to keep them up with schools that are. But ultimately, it's up to the school if they want to participate in this program. Julia?
How will the schools get the guns? Will the government pay for them?
It would be up to the school on how they want to participate and what weaponry they want, how they want to get the weaponry. Of course, legally, but it would be up to the school to decide how much they wanted to spend and what the budget. Because ultimately, it is to keep their students safe, and I believe that that is the school's responsibility since they are in care of the children. Alex?
Guns are very expensive and training is too. How would underfunded schools in high poverty areas afford the guns and the training for teachers?
Like I said, it's totally up to the schools if they want to participate. We will still have, of course, policemen and security guards near those schools, and especially in high poverty areas, there's often theft, so we will have police officers still there to protect the school. Tyler?
Are you completely ensure the student won't get access to the gun?
Absolutely, because we will promote safes in each classroom, which are in locked desks, which prevent it. And the students should not even know where the gun is kept in the classroom. Yes, Sam?
You said earlier that you don't think that schools should have armed security guards because of budget cuts. Wouldn't that create more jobs if we did hire armed security guards?
No, I'm saying currently that there are budget cuts which are eliminating some police officers from the schools. But of course, I would love to have that happen, but at the current moment, it is unable for that to happen due to the shortness on budget.
2 more questions. You have 3 people.
Laura.
After Sandy Hook, comments came out that some sources believe a portion of the shooter's motivation may be the fame they receive when their name is published across the country in newspapers and newscasts. How would you address that issue?
Are you saying how would I address the issue of preventing the gunman from earning fame across the nation?
Right, would you do anything to address that some people think their motivation is fame afterwards?
Well, that is not, the media is going to say what the media is going to say, and I think that it is very tough, and I would be unable to say you're not allowed to publish his name or something like that, because that's what rumors are spread and people talk, so we're not going to be able to prevent that.
1 more question. You have 2 people.
Mara.
Going back to what Alex was saying, when schools in high poverty areas can't afford security guards or anything, oftentimes that's an epicenter for black market, so it could be a problem with guns. Will there be any government funding for security guards if a school can't afford one?
Well, of course, we still have police officers in that area, and because they are low poverty, and like you said, there's a high black market, so we would target those black market areas and make sure that schools are not being shorted because of funding. So we would make sure that areas where there might be the black market, where there might be the threat of guns, will have high security. Not necessarily in the schools, but around the area to make sure that everything is correct. And of course, looking after the schools.
Okay. Get right in.